Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's English lesson. So, today, to start with, hopefully you have seen the spelling input on the website already. If you haven't, you can pause it and have a go now. So, to practice our key word for this week, I would like you to see how many times you can write each word in 15 seconds. So, perhaps you could set a timer, or you can see if somebody can count 15 seconds out for you. It's up to you how you'd like to do it. And you're going to have a go at writing beautiful. How many times can you write beautiful in 15 seconds? How many times can you write the word move, prove, improve, and sure? And I'm also going to set myself a 15-second timer and see how many times I can write one of these words as well. So pause the video and off you go. Okay, so hopefully you had a go at practicing each word. I managed to write the word beautiful 4 times in 15 seconds, and I wrote the word move 6 times in 15 seconds, as that word is slightly shorter. So hopefully you managed to write and practice these keywords as well. Okay, moving on to our spellings then. Your spellings as well for today were to fill in the gaps to make the correct word. So this is something that you can pause the video to do. Can you work out which is each spelling word? Okay, so hopefully you've had a go. It's a little bit tricky for me to actually write using my laptop, so I've had a go, but my handwriting isn't the best, and it certainly wouldn't look like this if we were writing on the panel. But the first word is city, circle, face, ice, voice, space, dance, and pencil. And remember, this week we're looking at that soft C sound. So today we're going to carry on with our learning around past tense verbs. And yesterday we had a look at what a past tense verb is. Can you remember what I said the definition of a past tense verb is? So a past tense verb is when we're referring to an action which has taken place in the past. And we know that the past means something that has already happened. So I have got 4 different sentences on the board, and I would like you to see if they are correct. So my first sentence, Rebecca stepped back to admire her door, and to her amazement, the door opening. What can you notice is wrong with that sentence? I'll give you 10 seconds. What can you notice? So, hopefully you noticed that the spelling of stepped is incorrect, as we don't put T on the end, it's ED. Rebecca stepped back to admire her door, and to her amazement, the door opening. Is opening a past tense verb? No, it's not. The past tense verb of open is opened, and to her amazement, the door opened. So Rebecca stepped back to admire her door, and to her amazement, the door opened. Next sentence. She jumped on the carpet, She jumped on the carpet and zoomed high into the sunset sky. I can see we've got 2 past tense verbs here which are spelt correctly, so this sentence is correct. She decided to be a little more mischievous and drew on her bedroom wall. So I can see decided is a past tense verb and it's correct, and drew. As remember, we talked yesterday that drawed isn't a real word. We would say she drew on her bedroom wall. So that one is also correct. Let's put a tick next to these 2 sentences. And the last one, she feeled the blazing sun on her face. What can you spot as incorrect with this sentence? She feeled the blazing sun on her face. Hopefully you've spotted this word here. Now we know that feeled is not a real word. The past tense verb is felt. She felt the blazing sun on her face. Okay, so today we are going to be pretending to be Rebecca from the story. And we're going to pretend that we have drawn another door and gone on another adventure. So I want you to look at the picture on the screen. Where do you think that this door has taken Rebecca? And what has she drawn with her magical red crayon? What can you see in the picture? You might want to pause the video to think about what you can see. So I can see that her door has taken her to a huge and magnificent castle. I think that somebody quite important might live here. We can spot Rebecca along the bottom, and she is going across the water towards the castle. So we're going to be writing a recount of this adventure and thinking about what is a recount. And we have written recounts in school before. Can you remember what a recount is? So a recount is when we're writing about something in the past, and that links really well with our past tense verbs. So we're going to be writing about her adventure to the castle. So when we are writing as Rebecca, we're going to be using words such as I or I'm, because we are pretending to be Rebecca. Okay, so I'm going to read you my example of my opening paragraph for my recount. Early this morning, I drew another door on my bedroom window. When I stepped through, I found myself sailing into a gigantic castle. I decided to go inside. So talking about a recount, we can see it's written in chronological order as it's starting with early this morning. So we're starting at the beginning of her journey. She has used words such as I, because we're pretending to be Rebecca. My, you can see some more I's here. And then I decided to go inside, or I found myself. So we can see she's written it in chronological order, starting with the event at the beginning, and then she's using those first person to refer to herself as she is writing the recount. So I'm going to go through the different rooms that Rebecca might have visited inside the castle. So listen carefully and see if you can spot those past tense verbs, as that's our skill that we're looking at today. First, I went down into the cold, dark dungeons. I locked the door and felt the rough stone wall in my hand. I looked at the metal chains on the wall and imagined how horrible it would have been to be trapped by them. I heard footsteps, so I quickly unlocked the door and ran back upstairs. Next, I walked into a huge bedroom. I climbed on the gigantic bed and fell asleep because it was so comfy. After that, I tried on some clothes I found in the wardrobe and pulled open the curtains to look out the windows. I thought someone spotted me, so I moved away. Then I followed the smell of baking and ended up in the kitchen. It was a mess. I cleaned the dirty dishes and swept the filthy floor. I felt hungry, so I found a box of biscuits and I ate 2 of them. Finally, I opened a giant door, and inside was the grand hall. It was beautiful. There were long, windy stairs and a shiny dance floor. I skipped all the way around the room, and then I danced and danced and danced. After all my dancing, I decided it was time to go home. What an amazing day I had. Let's go through these 4 paragraphs then and see if we can spot any past tense verbs. So, first, I went down into the cold, dark dungeons. I locked the door and felt the rough stone wall in my hand. I looked at the metal chains on the wall and imagined how horrible it would have been to be trapped by them. I heard footsteps, so I quickly unlocked the door and ran back upstairs. We can see a lot of past tense verbs already. Next, I walked into a huge bedroom. I climbed on the giant bed and fell asleep because it was so comfy. After that, I tried on some clothes I found in the wardrobe and pulled open the curtains to look out the windows. I thought someone had spotted me, so I moved away. Then I followed the smell of baking and ended up in the kitchen. It was a mess. I cleaned the dirty dishes and swept the filthy floor. I felt hungry, so I found a box of biscuits and I ate 2 of them. Finally, I opened a giant door and inside was the grand hall. It was beautiful. There were long windy stairs and a shiny dance floor. I skipped all the way around the room and then I danced and danced and danced. After all my dancing, I decided it was time to go home. So we can see a huge range of past tense verbs. There are a few in there that I also missed out that we were highlighting, but most of them we have spotted. So your job today is you're going to write a paragraph about each room that Rebecca might have gone into in the story. So we can see that this picture is referring to our first paragraph where she went into the cold, dark dungeon. So we have got our sentence starter. First, I went into the cold, dark dungeon, and then a variety of different words that you might want to use to write your sentences. So first, I went into the cold, dark dungeon. I felt the rough walls. I could feel the chains that people might have been chained up into, or I imagined how they might have felt. I heard strange noises. So see how many of these different past tense verbs you can use in that first paragraph to describe the cold, dark dungeon. Next, your paragraph is going to be about when she walked into the huge bedroom. You might want to talk about how she climbed onto the bed. She played with some of the things in the bedroom. She tried some of the clothes on. She slept on the bed. She pulled open the curtains. She bounced on the bed and she dressed up in some of their clothes. How many different sentences can you write using those past tense verbs again? Then our next sentence, she was talking about how she followed the smell of baking and ended up in the kitchen. So she cleaned and she tidied the kitchen. She washed up the plates. She swept the floor. She ate some biscuits. How can you use these past tense verbs in your paragraph? And then your final paragraph was about how she opened the giant door and found the grand hall. So she walked across the floor. She skipped and she danced and she danced. What did she see? What did she play with? See if you can use those past tense verbs. So you're going to use this sheet here to help you write your 4 paragraphs. So we can see that in bold is the sentence starter that you can use to start each paragraph. And then there are some past tense verbs in the picture to help you write the rest of your sentences. So you might want to pause the video when you come to writing it on this screen here so that you can use this sheet, but I'm also going to upload it onto the website as well. And that is your task for today. So I look forward to reading some of your writing about Rebecca's journey into the magnificent castle. Well done.